Developing right now on Morning News Now, retaliation. The U.S. striking dozens of Houthi targets across the Middle East in response to the attack that killed 3 American soldiers.
It began with the strikes on Friday night, but that is not the end of it. The United States will respond when our forces are attacked or our people are killed.
We have team coverage on the fighting, the fallout, and new fears of a widening war. Also this morning, a winter deluge on the West Coast. Right now, tens of millions of people under flood alerts as a severe storm slams the Golden State. And this is just the beginning. We are tracking the conditions as you start your work week. Plus, President Biden falling behind in the race for re-election. A new NBC News poll detailing a double-digit deficit against former President Donald Trump when it comes to the economy. We'll break down the numbers as we look ahead to the Nevada primary. And music's biggest night was certainly one to remember. Superstar Taylor Swift making history and a major announcement at the Grammys. We'll take you to the red carpet as we look back at the most memorable moments from last night. Obviously, quite excited about that.
Exactly. My favorite moment was Joni Mitchell performing.
That was incredible.
In fact, I went to bed after that. I was like, nothing can top that.
The tribute to Tina Turner also
that was beautiful
incredible.
as well.
Yeah,
Some
really
amazing
good stuff.
blasts from the past. We'll get to that in a little bit. Good to have you with us on this Monday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We're going to get started this morning with the fallout from this weekend's U.S. airstrikes on Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen as the war between Israel and Hamas continues to reverberate throughout the Middle East.
On Sunday, U.S. Central Command said that it struck a Houthi cruise missile and 4 anti-ship cruise missiles. A day earlier, U.S. and U.K. forces hit 36 Houthi targets in 13 locations in Yemen, with officials saying they were trying to disrupt and degrade the capabilities of the rebel group. Saturday's barrage came just one day after the U.S. carried out its first wave of airstrikes on 85 targets in Iraq and Syria. It's all in response to the killing of 3 American soldiers in Jordan just over a week ago. Speaking on Meet the Press yesterday, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said these strikes were just the beginning.
We intend to take additional strikes and additional action to continue to send a clear message that the United States will respond when our forces are attacked or our people are killed. We do believe that the strikes had good effect in degrading the capabilities of these militia groups to attack us.
From Washington to the Middle East, we have full team coverage this morning, beginning with NBC News foreign correspondent Raf Sanchez in Tel Aviv. So, Raf, walk us through these airstrikes we saw across the Middle East over the weekend, and what's some of the reaction you're hearing from the Houthis, from Iran, and others?
Yeah, Joe, good morning. A lot of strikes all across the region this weekend. Let's start Friday with those American strikes, eastern Syria, western Iraq, at Iranian-backed militant groups and Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps. Now, those strikes carried out solely by the United States were in response to last week's deadly drone attack in Jordan, which killed 3 U.S. service personnel. At this point, there has not been major retaliation by Iranian-backed militants in the Middle East. We have heard Iran itself condemning the strikes. It does not appear that any Iranian personnel were killed in these bombings. But Iran also, at this point, is not promising major retaliation. So we are waiting to see whether these strikes have achieved their deterrent effect, which was the intent to show Tehran that these attacks by Iranian-backed militants cannot continue. In Yemen, we saw more strikes by both the U.S. and the U.K., and this is in response to attacks by Houthi militants against commercial shipping in the Red Sea, which is causing such chaos, shipping lines all across the world. The Houthis are saying they are not deterred. These attacks will continue. A statement from their military spokesman, which I'll read to you, says, "These attacks will not deter us from our moral, religious, and humanitarian stance in support of the resilient Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip and will not go unanswered or unpunished." So the Houthis saying these attacks on commercial ships will continue as long as the war in Gaza does. Guys.
Raf, let's talk about the latest on the ground in Gaza. We understand Israel is planning to expand its assault on Rafah in the south. This is the last place that was designated to be a safe zone by the Israelis. What are we seeing there?
Right. So, Savannah, Rafah, all the way in the south of Gaza, right up against the Egyptian border. More than half the population of the Gaza Strip, well over 1 million people, are now crowded up against that border, and there is literally nowhere to run. The Egyptians have concertina wire. That border is totally sealed, and many of these people have fled the entire length of the Gaza Strip. They are from the north of Gaza, they fled to the middle, to the south, and now they are at the southernmost edge. But Israel's military is saying it will pursue Hamas into Rafah itself, trying to destroy those smuggling tunnels through which weapons have been shipped. I was in Gaza over the weekend, and I asked an Israeli commander, how can you possibly fight in a place where there are more than 1 million civilians without causing mass casualties? He said if the order came from Israel's political leadership to go into Rafah, they would do that. They would carry out that attack, but they would do what they could to limit civilian casualties. Guys.
So, Raf, where do things stand with the hostage ceasefire negotiations? We understand this proposed deal is dividing Israel's right-wing cabinet. What's the latest?
Yeah, that's right. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying that he will not agree to release thousands of Palestinian prisoners, some of whom are convicted of terrorism offenses, from Israeli jails, and that he will not end the war in Gaza as part of any agreement to free the hostages. He is under major pressure from the far right of his cabinet not to be seen to be making concessions to Hamas. From Hamas's perspective, they say they are still studying the framework of this proposal that was hammered out in Paris at a meeting of spy chiefs, including the CIA director. At this point, they are not saying yes or no to this deal, but they are saying prisoners need to be released on a large scale, and there does have to be an end to the war. Guys.
All right, Raf Sanchez. Raf, thank you so much.
Let's now turn to NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba. Monica, thanks for being here. So if we could go back to these strikes that we saw carried out over the weekend, we mentioned a moment ago, we've heard the administration say this is just the beginning on these strikes. Do we know how long this campaign could last?
We don't know exactly, Savannah and Joe, but it's likely this could take weeks. And we knew that senior officials had really previewed that this could be in multiple locations in multiple countries, which we've started to see. But there is this larger question about, could there be another component beyond just the kinetic strikes, what you're seeing there and what took place in the last couple of days? And likely what we will not see as visibly, but which the U.S. is still trying to send a strong message with, is something like cyber attacks directly at these Iranian assets. And so that is likely another aspect to this that is coming, but it could take some time. And the U.S. has been very careful to say they don't want to telegraph any of this or allow people to know when it's going to take place, as the U.S. has said it will do it in a time and manner of its choosing. As we mentioned, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan was on Meet the Press yesterday. He was pushed on whether the U.S. would strike inside Iran. At this point, do we know if that is a possibility? Well, the National Security Advisor didn't completely take it off the table, but the Biden administration has been clear for weeks that it doesn't seek a wider war with Iran. It does not want to escalate this conflict in that manner. And so the strategy has been to really hit these Iranian-backed militias where they have their most important weapons and assets outside of Iran. But here is how Jake Sullivan answered when Kristen Welker pressed him on the show yesterday.
I'm not going to get into what we've ruled in and ruled out from the point of view of military action. What I will say is that the president is determined to respond forcefully to attacks on our people. The president also is not looking for a wider war in the Middle East.
But is it off the table? Are strikes inside Iran off the table?
Again, Kristen, sitting here on television, it would not be wise for me to talk about what we're ruling in and ruling out.
And so far, at least this weekend, guys, it hasn't been clear that there has been any contact from the Iranian government or Iranian military officials to the United States to talk about this. So that's something to watch for in the coming days.
And Monica, we know Secretary Blinken is back in the Middle East for his 5th trip to the region since October. What can we expect from this visit?
He will be traveling to Saudi Arabia, to Israel, Egypt, and Qatar, all with this purpose of, again, trying to tamp down some of these tensions, lower the temperature, and then also to continue to see if there's progress that can be made on that potential hostage deal while trying to increase aid, humanitarian assistance into Gaza. This is something that when Secretary Blinken is there face-to-face meeting with people, he says he can try to advance the ball a little bit. But as we did hear from Raf and from Jake Sullivan yesterday on the Sunday shows, they don't believe that deal to release hostages is, quote, right around the corner, but they're hoping something can materialize in the short term, at least in the coming weeks, maybe in a month.
All right, Monica Alba, thank you so much.
Let's bring in NBC News military analyst Colonel Jack Jacobs. Colonel, good to have you with us. So let's just talk about your impressions of this weekend's strikes in Syria, Iraq, and Yemen. How effective do you think they were?
Well, they were effective in reducing the capability of Iran-backed militias to conduct attacks to the extent that we destroy command and control nodes, communications nodes, and actual sites of missiles and drone sources. This is going to be effective, which is one reason why Jake Sullivan said that he's not going to rule out continuing these attacks and will probably conduct more of these attacks. We have an entire target list. Follow these launchers from place to place. We know where a lot of them are, and from time to time, we will attack them. Don't forget that there are actually, they're all related, but there are actually two things going on here at the same time. One is attacks by the Houthis on shipping through the Red Sea, Straits of Hormuz, requiring ships then to go around the Cape of Good Hope and tripling the distance that ships have to go, increasing costs, reducing the capability to deliver goods, and raising interest rates. That is strictly Houthis backed by Iran. And to the extent that the Houthis continue the attacks, both the United States and Great Britain will continue attacks, retaliatory strikes on Houthi positions. Separately, though still backed also by Iran, are attacks on American bases in Iraq and Syria by Iran-backed militias. Those counterstrikes against them are going to continue. And the United States and Britain are not going to wait until there are further attacks on American bases to continue retaliatory strikes on these militias. There is much more to come. And you heard from Monica always the possibility of conducting cyber attacks on Iranian interests rather than attacks on Iran specifically.
Colonel, just very quickly then, what does that mean? Where do you see things going from here?
There will be continued attacks on militias in Syria and Iraq. But I think that you can always expect that if the attacks on American interests continue, that there might be American retaliatory strikes on Iranian ships that are in the region who conduct surveillance on American interests and on ships and relay that to their militias. We've seen that before, and we're liable to see it again.
All right, Colonel Jack Jacobs, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
You bet.
Well, extreme weather continues to hit the West Coast with millions of Americans still under flood alerts this morning. California's governor has declared a state of emergency as much of the state faces life-threatening conditions.
So let's get a check on your morning news now forecast with meteorologist Michelle Grossman. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning, guys. And I wish I had better news because we are looking at a very troublesome next 24 hours. We're looking at dangerous flooding, life-threatening flash flooding, catastrophic flooding, mudslides, debris flows, really gusty winds bringing down power lines lines and power outages, causing power outages. Over 600,000 people are without power at this hour, and that number will continue to grow. But let's take a look at alerts, because we're looking at 38 million people under flood alerts. We have flood warnings happening right now. That means flooding is happening right now, or it is imminent. Winter alerts, 1 million. We're going to be measuring snow in feet once again, up to 4 feet in some spots. And we have wind alerts. Winds are going to be gusting to hurricane force speed. So we have really soggy ground that's bringing down trees. It's bringing down power outages. And that's why we're seeing power lines. That's why we're seeing the power outages. This is what radar looks like right now. The bullseye will be Southern California, but we are seeing some heavy rain right now in portions of Northern California. That's where you're seeing those brighter colors. But this stream of moisture over Los Angeles has been going on for hour after hour after hour. They're under a flood warning until 12 o'clock Pacific time. So we're going to continue to watch that. And it's very, very soggy. So really doesn't have much places to go. We have burn areas, and that's why we're seeing the debris flows and also the mudslides. Lots of evacuations in some spots in Southern California. So we're going to continue to watch this at least over the next 24 hours. That's part of the problem, too. The rain is heavy, but it's continuing for a long time and not really tapering until later on Wednesday. So this is the powerful storm. It's another atmospheric river, lots of moisture with it, torrential rainfall continuing over Southern California. Also seeing some thunderstorms, so that because of that, we're seeing that debris flows, the rock slides, the mudslides, and we've already seen instances of that. And then by tomorrow, the heaviest rain from South California to Arizona. We're looking at some really heavy snow throughout the Rockies, also the Sierra Nevada mountains over the next several days. And take a look at some of the numbers. We already set a daily record yesterday in downtown Los Angeles. That goes back to 1927. But we're going to add another 5 inches in some spots. And the higher elevations in the mountains and foothills, some storm totals will be up to 14 inches of rain. And again, we mentioned that snow up to 4 feet. So lots of rain still to come. Because of that, we do have a flooding risk. We have a flash flooding risk as well. Where you see that pink color, the moderate risk, the high risk, that will be the likeliest spot of seeing some really catastrophic flooding, some dangerous flooding. Los Angeles, also Long Beach, down to portions of San Diego. Tomorrow, that flood risk does stay in place, the flash flood risk. We're looking at Los Angeles once again, San Diego. And then it moves into the southwest. So now it includes Phoenix and it includes places like Prescott. There's the snowfall totals where you see those pinks and purples. That's going to be the highest amount. So we're talking the northern Rockies into the Sierra Nevada mountains. 4 to 6 feet are possible. Good news for the skiers, bad news for people trying to travel in those areas with those winds really gusting. That's the big storm in the west. Another big story, February warmth in portions of the northern plains, the upper Midwest into the central plains. We're looking at temperatures once again well above normal for this time of year. That's going to move to the east as we go throughout the next couple of days. But we're looking good in the rest of the country. The Northeast, we had a really nice week in the Mid-Atlantic, too. We're going to continue that over the next several days. Really no rain in the forecast until later on this week.
All right. We'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michelle. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Turning now to Washington, where senators have announced a massive bipartisan bill addressing the number of migrants crossing the southern border.
The $118 billion bill is spearheaded by Senators Kyrsten Sinema, an independent, James Lankford, a Republican, and Chris Murphy, a Democrat. It also includes funding for both the war in Ukraine and the Middle East. Today, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer plans to kick off the voting process on the bill. In a statement, Schumer said the agreement is, quote, a monumental step towards strengthening America's national security abroad and along our borders. This is one of the most necessary and important pieces of legislation Congress has put forward in years.
NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Sirkin joins us to break this all down. Hi, Julie. Good morning. So advocates of the bill say it's the most comprehensive immigration legislation presented in over a decade. Tell us some of the highlights here and where we saw some big compromises.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. Well, negotiators held calls all night long last night trying to clear up some of the misconceptions that are being said about this bill, particularly from Republicans. And one of the main points that they emphasized to us who were on the call was that their goal is to eventually end illegal immigration. So that's important framing when you think about this bill, because some of the biggest provisions, you see it on your screen, it requires the border be shut down when you see some of those migrant surges exceeding 5,000 daily average. That is a provision that is very conservative. Republicans, in theory, would support that, though they are saying that this instead would allow for more illegal immigration. That's not what this bill does. Second, it raises the screening for that asylum interview. It doesn't change the qualifications by which migrants are eligible for asylum, but it does make the interview a little bit more complicated and challenging, weeding out, for example, if someone has a criminal history or they're able to seek asylum in their own country or they were in a safe country already. All of those things are going to happen on the front end now. And also, this ends the practice of catch and release. That means migrants who come legally at ports of entry are placed under government surveillance while they await their asylum interview and later their adjudication, wait for their case to be adjudicated. If migrants come in between ports of entry, they are detained. And this bill increases funding to do just that. It also increases more resources for Border Patrol agents to hire more agents for more processing, and also changes the way the cases are adjudicated, making that process a lot faster. So certainly a lot of changes made in this bill. One thing it doesn't do that Democrats certainly accepted as a major concession in terms of those who negotiated this bill is there is no pathway for citizenship for undocumented dreamers. That was something that was a red line for so many Democrats just a couple of months ago, and certainly you'll see support peel off on that.
So, Julie, as we mentioned earlier, the bill also includes this long-awaited funding for Ukraine, more funding for Israel's war against Hamas. How did that part of the bill come together?
Well, those pieces of the legislation are largely unchanged. In total, the bill is about $12 billion more. That's for all of those pieces than President Biden had requested back in October. Certainly, these pieces of the bill were the more easy parts to move, and some, like Senate Minority Leader McConnell, for example, last week already threatened. He said, listen, if the border piece can't get done, certainly he supports the bill that was negotiated. They're going to have to move just Ukraine and just Israel aid alone. Again, though, this bill also includes humanitarian aid that is seen as key by many Republicans and Democrats, mostly Democrats, of course. And also you have the House Republicans who have put forward a clean Israel bill that they say they will take up this week. Certainly it's going to be a lot of politics.
So, Julie, House Speaker Johnson is already speaking out against this bill just hours before it was announced. Let's listen to what he had to say with Kristen Welker on Meet the Press.
Did you propose this standalone Israel aid package to kill this compromise deal in the Senate?
No, we've made very clear what the requirements of the House were, and that is to solve the problem at the border. Apparently, the Senate has not been able to come to an agreement. They've been suggesting text should be filed maybe today, but we've been told the same thing for months now. We've been awaiting their action. We cannot wait any longer. The House is willing to lead, and the reason we have to take care of this Israel situation right now is because the situation has escalated.
Julie, bearing that, is there any hope this bill will make it to President Biden's desk?
Well, Speaker Johnson, hours after the bill was released last night, said this bill is, quote, dead on arrival. He also said that the text was worse than what he imagined the bill to be beforehand. Senator James Lankford, who's the top Republican negotiating this bill, mind you, Lankford is a conservative Republican from Oklahoma. He immediately fact-checked Johnson in real time on a call with reporters last night. He said that he wants the opportunity to brief the speaker on this text specifically to clear up some of the misconceptions because, again, this bill does lean very forwardly in the conservative direction. But bottom line here, as I said, guys, the House will move forward on this clean Israel bill. I should note that originally the House had passed an Israel bill back in October with those offsets being that it's paid for. Now that goes away in order to get some Democrats to vote for it. Again, though, the Senate planning to move forward with this supplemental bipartisan package nonetheless.
Julie Sirkin, thank you so much.
Much more to come here at Morning News Now. Later this hour, you've heard of catfishing. What about pig butchering? Not literally, but when we come back, the FBI is warning about a new online scam that could cost you your life savings.
Up first, though, poll problems for President Biden now facing a double-digit deficit against Donald Trump. When it comes to the economy, we'll break down the numbers from the newest NBC News poll. Stay with us.
Welcome back. The latest NBC News polling shows that when it comes to handling the economy, President Biden trails the GOP frontrunner, former President Trump, by more than 20 points.
It's just one of a series of personal comparisons where the polling shows Trump beating Biden, with Trump also leading by a narrow margin in a hypothetical general election matchup.
NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray joins us now for more on this. Mark, good morning. Good to have you with us. So tell us about some of the other categories where President Biden is behind the former president, in some cases by double digits. What does this tell us about the biggest challenges the president faces in the run-up to re-election?
Well, there are some significant challenges that President Biden has 9 months before the November 2024 election. And Joe, you ended up mentioning that gap on handling the economy where Donald Trump leads by 22 percentage points. To put that into perspective, when we asked this question right before the 2020 presidential election, Trump had a 7-point lead. That was when he was in the White House. Now it's grown to 22 points. But on the other measures, Donald Trump has a 21-point lead when it comes to handling crime and violence. He also ends up having a 16-point lead on being competent and effective. That's another reversal from what our poll showed in 2020. As for President Biden, the poll has him with a 12-point advantage on handling abortion and a 17-point advantage when it comes to handling immigrant rights.
Mark, looking ahead this week, we're going to see Republican and Democratic contests in Nevada. What can we expect there, do you think, for both Biden and for Trump? And then also with Super Tuesday just now a month away.
Yeah, as for Nevada, it's important to note that tomorrow, Tuesday, is the primary in that state, and that's the official Democratic primary. There's also a primary on the Republican side, but it doesn't count. Republicans said that their caucuses, which are holding place on Thursday, will be the ones that will officially award delegates. And as for the general election, our poll shows Donald Trump with a 5-point lead over President Biden. It's within the poll's margin of error. And it's up from Trump's 2-point lead in our poll in November. And as for President Biden's overall job approval, 37% of registered voters approve of his handling of the presidency. That's versus 60% who disapprove. Back in November, it was 40% approved. So that's a drop for President Biden in our poll.
We should note Trump still has an opponent in the GOP nomination, and that is Nikki Haley, who made a surprise cameo on Saturday Night Live over the weekend. What exactly did we see there? What's some of the reaction we're hearing?
I think the biggest reaction, Joe, is that she's not going away anytime soon. Donald Trump and even some people from the Republican Party have said, hey, let's move on to the general election. It's time to focus on President Biden and not a Republican primary after Donald Trump's victories in Iowa and New Hampshire. Our own NBC News poll shows Trump with a 60-point advantage nationally over Nikki Haley. So she's not going away, but the polling shows that we are headed to a general election very, very soon, Joe.
All right, Mark Murray, thank you so much.
Thanks, Mark. Well, the Fulton County District Attorney is speaking out for the first time since she was accused of having a relationship with the special prosecutor on the Georgia election interference case against former President Trump. NBC News correspondent Blaine Alexander has the story.
A defiant district attorney, Fani Willis, is breaking her silence. In a 176-page filing, she acknowledges a personal relationship with Nathan Wade, the special prosecutor she appointed to lead the Georgia election case against former President Donald Trump. But Willis denies any financial benefit or conflict of interest, writing, while the allegations are salacious and garnered the media attention they were designed to obtain, they do not provide any basis for her to be removed from the case. That's what Trump co-defendant Michael Roman has asked for, accusing Willis of financially benefiting from a romantic relationship, saying Wade used money he earned from the DA's office to pay for vacations together. But in her response, Willis provided her own receipts, saying travel was evenly split between the two, writing, both are professionals with substantial income, and arguing Wade made more money than the other special prosecutors only because he did much more work. The filing included a sworn affidavit from Wade, who said while the two were professional associates and friends when he was hired on the case, they later developed a personal relationship. But in a response of his own, Michael Roman says he has witnesses who will testify the relationship actually began before Wade's hiring. All of it has brought intense scrutiny to the closely watched case against Donald Trump and to Willis herself. Mr. Trump has also sought to have the charges dismissed, posting, "This scam is totally discredited and over." It all comes amid new pressure from Congress, where Republican Congressman Jim Jordan has subpoenaed Willis, seeking documents to determine whether she misused federal money.
Our thanks to Blaine Alexander for that report. Willis and Wade have also been subpoenaed to testify on these allegations in 2 weeks. However, Willis is asking a judge to cancel that hearing, calling it an attempt to embarrass and harass her personally.
Deadly wildfires are burning out of control in central Chile. Authorities there say more than 100 people have been killed since the fires broke out on Friday. Here's NBC News foreign correspondent Josh Letterman.
A wind-whipped inferno in Chile, turning the skies into an orange hellscape. Thick smoke blanketing the densely populated Valparaiso region, normally a beachside paradise, now a death trap. President Gabriel Boric saying the death toll, already in the 60s by midday, quickly rising to 99, according to the medical examiner's office, is certain to rise even higher. That makes this Chile's worst natural disaster in nearly 15 years. Horrifying video showing cars dodging flames on the highway. More than 1,300 homes destroyed in one area alone, Chile's government says. In some neighborhoods, almost nothing is left. We need help, this Viña del Mar resident says. Food for our pets, supplies. I lost my house, everything. Wildfires are common in the sizzling Chilean summer, but these flames are being fueled by intense heat, heavy winds, and low humidity, part of the El Niño weather system. Chile's military is helping firefighters attack the blaze by plane, helicopter, and on the ground, battling wind gusts up to 37 miles an hour, with no end in sight. Josh Letterman, NBC News.
Coming up, sitting in judgment this morning, a jury set to decide on a first-of-its-kind case against the mother of a school shooter.
The question, should parents be held responsible for their children's actions? We're going to break down closing arguments next on Morning News Now. This morning, a jury in Michigan is set to start deliberations in the case of Jennifer Crumbley. Her son Ethan killed 4 people in a school shooting a few years ago. Now his mom is on trial. Jennifer Crumbley's case is raising some important legal questions about whether parents should be held responsible for the actions of their kids. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa takes us inside the courtroom.
This morning, Jennifer Crumbley's fate will soon be in the hands of a jury after closing arguments in her involuntary manslaughter trial honed in on whether the 45-year-old Michigan mom broke the law by failing to stop her son from killing 4 classmates at Oxford High School.
The shooter learned how to shoot and was given the murder weapon by his parents. And this parent is sitting here today on trial.
It was unforeseeable. No one expected this. No one could have expected this, including Mrs. Crumbley.
Prosecutors suggesting Crumbley ignored red flags.
He was struggling. He was hallucinating. He was seeing things. She did not give him the help that he wanted.
The defense hitting back.
Trained professionals told Mrs. Crumbley her son was not a risk.
9 days of testimony culminating with Crumbley, the defense's only witness. She was cross-examined by prosecutors.
And you don't deny that you never once took him to see a therapist or counselor?
No, I did not.
Prosecutors also pushing back on Crumbley's earlier testimony that her husband, James, who's set to be tried in March, was responsible for securing Ethan's gun.
Well, you didn't trust him to get out of bed on time.
Correct.
You didn't trust him to cut the grass when it was time to cut the grass.
He would cut the grass when it got to a length I didn't like. I didn't trust him.
You didn't trust him to update you on his whereabouts.
There's a reason behind that.
You didn't trust him to not turn off or turn on the Ring camera in your home.
Correct.
But this is the person you entrusted with a deadly weapon.
I did.
The defense making one final plea.
I am asking that you find Jennifer Crumbley not guilty, not just for Jennifer Crumbley, but for every mother who's out there doing the best they can, who could easily be in her shoes.
Our thanks to Maggie Vespa for that.
For some perspective on what this trial means, let's bring in NBC News Now legal analyst Angela Senadella. Angela, good morning. Thanks for being here. So let's start with that closing line from Maggie's story here where the defense talks about the precedent really that this is going to set potentially. How important is this case in establishing expectations for parents and their kids in regards to gun safety and mental health?
Yeah, look, this case is being watched across America, and that is because involuntary manslaughter laws exist in every state, not just in Michigan. So the question here is, how responsible can we hold our parents for the crimes that their children commit, and not just even in a school shooting like this? For example, what happens if you as a parent have access to alcohol and a car and your child goes out and accidentally kills someone in drunk driving? I mean, the implications here are so widespread. But look, prosecutors are just doing their job. They're trying to deter a crime that is new here, school shooting in the last few years, and trying to widen the scope of responsibility to stop them. But the question here, as you asked, is, are all mothers going to be held to this new standard? I don't think so, but we'll see how this verdict comes through.
Yeah, we can't see inside the jury deliberation room, but what do you think the jurors are going to be weighing here?
So it is very important here, as has been made clear in the defense closing arguments, that it's not just a question of, do you disagree with the standard of parenting here that Jennifer Crumbley did, but it's, do you feel that almost any parent in this situation would have been able to foresee that if their child had mental health issues and had access to a gun that you gave them, then they would go and shoot up a school. So there are a lot of links they had to prove there, and that is what the jury has to weigh. It is a high bar. I think it's unlikely they will come to that decision, but you never know with the jury.
Angela, the defense had really sort of made this point to put the responsibility for the gun, for its storage, on Ethan's father, James. Do you expect prosecutors to use those words in his trial next month? Will there sort of have to be an addressing of that?
Yes, Savannah, absolutely they will. I mean, that to me is likely a stronger link to him having access to the gun, the fact that it wasn't stored safely. But also note that Michigan, the state, did not even have a safe storage law until after this incident. Now, had that law existed prior to this shooting, prosecutors would have had a much stronger case against James Crumbley. But certainly they are going to attempt to pull through anything that was successful here in James Crumbley's trial.
Angela Sanadella, as always, thank you.
Coming up, sticker shock at the supermarket.
That's right. All your favorite Super Bowl snacks this weekend could cost you thanks to inflation, but we have some game day grocery plays that could save you some serious cash. We will share some tips up next. You're watching Morning News Now.
Welcome back. It is a popular internet scheme. Someone gets tricked into a relationship but ends up swindled out of all of their money. We've reported on this before, but now the FBI is trying to get ahead of the scams, hoping to intervene before any money changes hands. NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian has that story.
She called herself Anna, and she reached out to Barry May over social media.
The Asian woman that supposedly lived in New York on Fifth Avenue. So we just started chatting.
Soon, Anna was sending explicit photos. May, divorced and retired, was smitten. She told him they could be together, but there was a catch.
If I invested with her or invested in the crypto, then that she could come to me and we could get married.
He liquidated his 401k, sending more than $500,000, his life savings. Then he got a call from the FBI.
They said this is a major fraud situation, and I'm not the only one.
It turns out May was involved in a common internet scam and also a new FBI initiative to protect people from financial ruin. The scam is called pig butchering, so named because victims are likened to hogs, fattened up for slaughter.
It is incredibly devastating, and people are in fact losing all they have.
Enticed by the prospect of romance and riches, people have sent their hard-earned money overseas.
I have seen losses well into the $2, $3, $4 million range.
James Barnacle runs the FBI's financial crime section. He says the scams are typically run by organized criminal groups based in Southeast Asia.
What kind of losses are we talking about?
In 2023, we see it well over $3.5 billion of reported losses and around 40,000 victims.
Most of that money is never recovered. So now FBI investigators are trying something different, using sophisticated cyber techniques to identify and warn victims before they lose all their money.
Working with financial institutions, reviewing suspicious activity reports, and have been able to contact victims and stop them from making further investments.
I was about to get a loan from my credit union, and they said, do not do that. I got about $10,000 left in my account to my name, and I've got a daughter at home that's autistic.
Is this financial situation affecting the care that you're able to give?
Yeah, because I can't afford medicine.
The FBI warning came too late for Barry May. And what's your message to other folks watching this?
Run away, because 99.9% of the time it's going to be a scam.
Ken Delanian, NBC News, Washington.
Let's get a look at some financial headlines this morning. A major union deal in Las Vegas just in time for Super Bowl weekend.
NBC's Bertha Coombs joins us with that and other money news. Bertha, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Joe. The union representing culinary and hospitality workers in Las Vegas has reached a tentative contract deal with half a dozen hotels and casinos just days ahead of the Super Bowl. The latest deal coming late yesterday with the Golden Nugget, which covers roughly 1,200 workers. But employees at two other casinos, the Downtown Grand and Virgin hotels, are poised to strike at 8 a.m. Eastern today. The Super Bowl is expected to attract some 330,000 people to Vegas this week, not just Taylor Swift. The new Indiana Jones video game is set to launch on the Xbox this December, and it could also be coming to PlayStation 5. The game will be an Xbox exclusive at first, but The Verge reports the developer, Bethesda, is considering bringing it to PS5 a few months later. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle was originally planned for multiple game consoles, but that was before Microsoft bought Bethesda in 2021. Meantime, Mark Zuckerberg is now the world's fourth richest person, following the surge in Meta's stock price last week. The shares jumped 20% on Friday after the company reportedly blew out earnings, and it also said it was going to start issuing a dividend. That move adding $200 billion in Meta's market value, the largest one-day haul in Wall Street history. Zuckerberg is now worth about $170 billion, vaulting him past Bill Gates on the Bloomberg billionaires list. And I saw one calculation that with that dividend, he will get about $700 million a year just from the dividend.
Wow. All right. Different from my experiences in anything. Thank you, Bertha. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, while the overall inflation news seems to be good, if you're stocking up on snacks for your Super Bowl party, you may notice prices at the grocery store are still high. We've got some tips on how to find a deal and more on how Americans are feeling about these prices. Here's Kent Erdahl from our affiliate station Care in Minneapolis.
If you think grocery store prices have been hard to follow in recent years, you're not alone.
It's almost a game of whack-a-mole for consumers to figure out what's going to be the next thing with the big price increases and how do I change my eating habits based on what happens.
As a marketing analytics professor at the U of M's Carlson School of Management, Joe Redden says it's true. You could actually save some money on a Super Bowl spread this year over last if you stick to wings and shrimp while avoiding things like beef and name-brand chips. But as a consumer who invited us into his own home kitchen, he says he knows what tends to happen in reality.
You really see the sticker shock when you check out, and you just realize that total is a lot bigger than it used to be.
And that's not sitting well with most Americans. According to a so-called Vibes poll conducted by Axios recently, roughly 72% of respondents said groceries are where they feel most affected by inflation, while 59% feel angry, anxious, or resigned when grocery shopping. And if you're wondering why, since grocery inflation technically came back down to earth last year, keep in mind that prices are still up nearly 20% in the last 3.
One of the challenges with inflation with food is it's been consistently going up, and that's just building on top of itself, building on top of itself. So even if it does flatten out now with very little inflation, we are still going to be paying quite a bit more than we were a year, 2, 3 years ago.
The increase may be slowing down, but the prices aren't going down.
As the founder of Every Meal, which provides a weekend's worth of food to local families directly through students' backpacks, Rob Williams has struggled to keep up with both rising demand and those rising prices.
Every penny that it costs more per bag is $4,000 a year for our program. What if it goes up, 50 cents, right?
Fortunately, he says recent financial support will soon allow them to expand their warehouse space.
By expanding the building space, that allows us to store more food, and that allows us to get lower prices in the long run to decrease that price per unit.
That's a lot more difficult for the rest of us.
Those high prices just tend to be sticky.
But Joe says don't discount the importance of smart shopping.
We have seen some recent financial results where they're starting to see the pushback on those higher prices now. And we're seeing some of these leading food manufacturers that their unit volume is dropping. So while they're charging more per unit and making more profit on each unit they sell, they're now selling less units in total. If we see any type of price drop, that'll be the catalyst that does it, is consumers speak with their wallets and enough of them say, I'm not going to buy it.
Our thanks to Ken Erdahl for that story. Coming up, you could say last night's Grammys had a little bit of everything.
Yeah, up next, we're going to take a look back at some of the most memorable moments from music's biggest night, from historic wins to shocking upsets, even an arrest. Stay with us. You're watching Morning News Now. We're back with a surprising find made by police inside a garage in suburban Seattle, a Cold War-era missile. Bellevue police responded to a report of a military-grade rocket found in the home of someone who had died. Bomb squad members inspected the object, found that it was an inert rocket of the kind that was designed to carry a nuclear warhead. Neighbors said it had been bought at an estate sale. There was no warhead attached, no rocket fuel, so the item is not considered a hazard. Police left the item to be restored for display in a museum.
Wow, not your typical garage sale kind of find.
No.
That is something.
Need a big U-Haul to get that home.
Yeah,
probably.
exactly. All right, there you go. Well, we are, at least I'll speak for myself, I am a little tired this morning because we stayed up to watch the Grammy Awards. They did not disappoint.
No, from the artist who was taken away by police after winning 3 awards to the shocking announcement of a new Taylor Swift album, it was a night of surprises.
We are lucky to have entertainment journalist and pop culture expert Brian Balthazar with us on this morning. Brian, thank you for joining us. You know I got to start with my girl Taylor Swift. 2 things here. A new announcement with the title, by the way, The Tortured Poets Department. And then, of course, she made history when she won Best Album. Tell us about her big night.
Right. You always feel a little silly telling you what happened to Taylor. I feel like, take it away, Savannah. Well, again, she won for her 4th album of the year. She was tied with Frank Sinatra, Stevie Wonder, and Paul Simon. She broke that record and won her 4th. By the way, presented by Celine Dion. Let's just back this up about 10 seconds. And she was presented by Celine Dion, who we haven't seen in a long time. She's suffering with stiff person syndrome. We didn't know how that was going. So she looked great, presented it to Taylor, won. And of course, she then made her big announcement about her upcoming album on April 15th. The Tortured Poets Department, and we know that's just the internet was abuzz. And this was her 13th. She then went on to win another one, of course, but a big night for Taylor, so that's exciting. Yeah. Now then you have the detainment of Killer Mike, rapper Killer Mike, who had won 3 awards, one for Best Song, another for Best Rap Album, Best Rap Song, Best Rap Album, and Best Rap Performance. He was then taken away in handcuffs. This did not appear on the obviously on the stage, but backstage, and video was captured of it, where he was saying, "Are you serious?" This was reportedly stemming from an earlier incident in the evening, an altercation. My suspicion is that since the incident with Will Smith, any kind of physical altercation at an awards ceremony is taken extremely seriously, and action is taken even more, quickly than it might have otherwise. So I think that we may find, as we get more details on this particular incident, that there may be some policies that have been instituted since the Will Smith incident at the Academy Awards a couple years back. So that's my suspicion about that.
Yeah.
Then we have the Miley Cyrus.
Oh, we do want to quickly note here, Brian, because police say this was in connection with an altercation. We have reached out to representatives for Killer Mike and for the Grammys. They have not responded to our request for comment, so we want to make sure to add that. Let's talk about Miley Cyrus. After 8 career nominations, she finally got her first win. Talk about that.
Right. This is her first Grammy. She won for Record of the Year, and later then for Best Pop Solo Performance for Flowers. We know her little alleged snub of Liam Helmsworth. And she said, "I really hope this doesn't change anything, as my life was beautiful yesterday." So when she won both awards, she referred back to the fact that while honored, this also doesn't matter in the big picture, which is always interesting when you accept an award, but also kind of nice that she's shouting out to her fans that, no matter what, awards don't matter as much as your happiness, and it also speaks to the message of the song.
Also, her performance was fantastic. Her little ad-libs that she threw in.
I know, like, you know this song.
Fun.
Come on, everyone.
Yeah, and then in between things about, like, I did cry and that kind of stuff, you wonder if it's sort of like
her hair. Her hair was amazing. Her hair.
She looked fantastic. She was pulling out 80s glam, and then at the end of her second award, she thanked everyone, and then she said, I didn't forget anyone, but I may have forgotten to wear underwear, or I forgot underwear, and she ran off the stage. You know, just typical Miley, like, fun, funny body humor, and it was exciting to see her really celebrating, and her performance, insane. Her performance, I thought, was really fantastic.
She's really, truly so talented. Brian, also, let's talk about Jay-Z. So he made this powerful point about how the Grammys are decided during his acceptance speech. This was for this special award, the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award. He kind of shouted his wife out in this a little bit. Tell us some of the takeaways from the points
Right,
he
was seemingly calling out the Academy, and his daughter, Blue Ivy, right next to him, and he said, I don't want to embarrass my daughter right next to me, but he called out the fact that these votes are obviously subjective, and given the fact that Beyonce has won as many awards as she has won, she's never won the Album of the Year category, going on to say she's won more Grammys than anyone, never won Album of the Year, so even by your own metrics, that doesn't work. And then he even called out, he said, some of you don't even belong in this category, as he was talking about people who were nominated for the awards last night. So, you know, the interesting thing, as much as of the interest in the show is about the award winners, I think last night it was about the number of amazing stars that were there, some amazing performances, and then it reached out to all generations. We're talking more about the things that happened at the awards than some of the award winners themselves. It's interesting.
Yeah, and it was great to just see some of the throwbacks with Tracy Chapman performing with Luke Combs, Joni Mitchell, of course.
An iconic list,
Joni Mitchell,
Joni Mitchell was incredible. Really cool to see. Brian Balthazar, we really appreciate you joining us on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us because the news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks for being with us on a Monday. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Developing right now on Morning News Now, much of California almost underwater this morning. Virtually the entire state saw flood alerts overnight, and Mother Nature is not letting up. Authorities seen helping people evacuate in the hardest hit areas, and more than 500,000 are waking up this Monday morning without electricity. That number comes as driving winds topple trees onto power lines, even into houses. We've got the latest from the ground, your full forecast, and when the state could see some clearer skies. In the Middle East, a high-stakes meeting between top U.S. and Saudi officials. It follows a weekend wave of American strikes against Iran-backed militias in Yemen, Iraq, and Syria. We've got more on that meeting and what it could mean for future assaults in the region. On Capitol Hill, a major spending package unveiled. Senate negotiators hope it'll funnel aid to both Israel and Ukraine while bolstering security at America's southern border. Even if it passes the Senate, does it have the legs to make it through the House? We're going to bring you the latest from Washington. And it was a massive night for music on Sunday, with none other than Taylor Swift herself setting another Grammys record while dropping yet another surprise announcement. Something about poetry? Was it the...
Yes.
She's a poet now? Was that it?
Department. Well, it's funny because you say she dropped a surprise, and we thought a surprise would come, and then this was a surprise on the surprise. It's just like, it's wild.
Just
the productivity from that woman. Yeah.
Exactly. And she's got a busy week ahead. All right.
Yes.
We'll get to that in a little bit. Let's begin this morning with life-threatening storms battering the state of California.
Yeah, several counties are under a state of emergency this morning with more heavy rains expected throughout the day. The storm prompted some residents to evacuate due to mudslides, while others were forced to stay home as a result of school and flight cancellations. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz has the latest.
Hey there, the rain is pouring down on us here in LA. We're in the Hollywood Hills right now where this big mudslide came overnight, forcing several homes to evacuate. 2 homes have serious damage. Thankfully, everybody okay, but we can see the mud flow and the debris getting swept away here. This one of many incidents that officials are responding to as this storm pummels the state.
This morning, torrential rain and powerful winds causing havoc across California. From San Francisco to San Diego, 38 million people, virtually the entire state, under flood watches. The monster storm toppling trees, causing spinouts and landslides. Among the hardest hit areas, Santa Barbara.
Here in downtown Santa Barbara, it's already started flooding. We're about a foot deep here. Cars like this one have been trying to drive through, but others have been getting stuck. The tow having to get them out.
This nearby creek overflowing. Residents caught off guard.
Don't go that way. It's completely flooded.
Police are now evacuating this neighborhood. They have this armored vehicle here. They're going door to door telling people to get out.
I'm really not feeling safe.
Throughout California, hundreds of thousands without power. The destructive atmospheric river now hitting Ventura and Los Angeles counties, where several communities are under preemptive evacuation orders and warnings.
This has the potential to be a historic storm.
In Northern California, drivers facing the first hurricane-force wind warning ever issued for the California coast.
There was very high wind on the bridge.
In San Jose, the fire department rescuing 6 people, 6 dogs and 9 puppies from the Guadalupe River as the dangerous high waters rush through. And nearby, this tree crashing into a home. Incredibly, nobody inside was hurt.
Sleeping like 7 feet away, just bam through the roof.
And again, the rain continues to pour down on us here in LA, and it's not letting up. The storm is now on the move, heading towards Orange County, the Inland Empire, and San Diego. Those areas bracing for a deluge of rain as well, with the National Weather Service still warning of potentially catastrophic and life-threatening flooding. Back to you.
All right, Liz Croyce, thank you for that. Let's bring in Andy Van Sciver for more on this. He's a public information officer for the Ventura County Fire Department. Thank you so much for joining us. Just first of all, just what are you seeing and hearing on the ground this morning? What kind of damage so far?
We've been doing pretty good right now. We've got a lot of rain recently, but the impact of the storm is not as significant as we expected, meaning we didn't have any significant critical infrastructures or road damage or significant landslides at this point in time, though we did get a significant amount of rain.
What should residents keep in mind in preparing, especially as we know the storms are expected to last until later today? What should people be thinking about?
Yeah, we're urging people currently to slow down on the roadways. We've had a number of vehicle accidents on the freeway. That's our big #1 choice. In preparation for the storm that should be expected to run through at least Wednesday, we're asking residents to sandbag their properties. They were very successful. We only had to assist a couple individuals with sandbags this year with this storm. So really thankful that the community took our warnings and assisted, and we're ready for the storm.
We've seen some dramatic video of people being rescued from their cars. If you do get stuck in floodwaters or perhaps even a mudslide, what's the advice you want to give people?
Yeah, we responded to a couple vehicles in the county that were flooded. And I see you're showing some information about the rescue of the homeless individual that was in the Ventura River underneath the freeway bridge of the 101. That was completed by the Ventura City Fire Department. The #1 thing we want people to do is basically, if you're around rising water or trapped in floodwater, is to avoid the water completely. We're looking for people to learn the term "turn around, don't drown." Yesterday in the city of Ventura, we saw numerous people driving through floodwaters that were easy over their axles and such. And I don't think people know that it only takes about 6 inches of water to float your vehicle. And if it happens to be in moving water, your vehicle could be swept away.
Joe and I have both spent a lot of time in California. Joe, recently an LA resident, and I grew up in San Diego, and just in talking to so many people who live there, like my parents, they just can't believe what they're seeing in San Diego. How unprecedented does this rainfall seem to you?
Yeah, it's pretty unprecedented. I mean, to give you an idea, we get somewhere around 15 to 18 inches of rain for our year. And I think this storm puts us at about 8 inches, give or take where you measure it. So we've got a significant amount of rain. We were lucky this time that we didn't get a torrential downpour in a little area like San Diego experienced. We had wide rain across the county that came in at a good rate, that most of the drainage systems and our rivers were able to keep up with the demand.
All right, Andy Van Sciver, appreciate your time this morning. Hope you continue to stay safe. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Be safe.
Let's bring back in meteorologist Michelle Grossman to look at what is in store for the week ahead.
So, Michelle, what can we expect?
Hi there, guys. Well, we're going to keep the west wet over the next several days into really Thursday and Friday as well. We have this atmospheric river that is not over yet. We have 24 hours of continuous rain, and we're going to continue to see heavy rain. We have catastrophic flooding, the potential for life-threatening flooding as well. Floodwaters come fast and furious, and as we just heard, really, really powerful. We're looking at mudslides, debris slides as well. Debris debris flows. So we're looking at evacuation. So the week ahead, we are looking at that west high flood risk there. We're looking at really soggy grounds. We have, it seems like, atmospheric river after atmospheric river. In the middle of the country, we're looking at February warm. Temperatures well above normal for this time of year, really warm. And then as we head towards the East Coast, we're really nice and dry. We had sunshine over the weekend, looking good there. Temperatures mild too for this time of year. A couple showers and storms in portions of the southeast. That is about it. And then as we go throughout Wednesday, look at the west. Still so active. We're looking at rain along the coast. That's where you're seeing the green. Looking at Rockies snow. So as we go throughout the next couple of days, we're going to be measuring snow in feet, in addition to rain, measuring in some spots in feet as well, especially in the mountain and also the foothills. So we'll talk about rainfall totals in just a bit. Record highs continue throughout the upper Midwest, also portions of the northern plains, sunny and mild throughout the south central states. And we're going to keep it dry in New England, also portions of the mid-Atlantic and also the southeast. Then as we near Friday, the west will not let up. We are looking at really active weather still, heavy snow falling in portions of the Rockies into the southwest, into portions of the northern plains, the Intermountain West. Record highs still into the Great Lakes, the upper Midwest as well. And then we have rain on the move. That's going to extend from portions of the Great Lakes, the interior parts of the Northeast, into the Gulf Coast states. So not talking about a whole lot of rain there, but still just a soggy Friday. So let's talk about this western storm. This is by far the biggest story. We're looking at 1 million people under winter alerts, 38 million under flood alerts, and also 34 million under wind alerts. That's going to be a big story, too. We have lots of power outages. Last I checked, it was 600,000 people without power in California. That number is surely going to grow because we're still seeing those gusty winds. The grounds are so saturated, power lines coming down, as well as trees creating some power outages. So this is what it looks like on radar. We have that heavy rain falling, streaming from portions of the Pacific, where you see those really bright colors, the reds, the oranges, the yellows, really going over the same spots. LA has been pounded over the past couple of hours. Still seeing some heavy rain in portions of Northern California, Central California, but the main bullseye today will be Southern California. And again, that's going to continue over the next 24 hours. Just zooming a little closer, you can see just kind of going over the same areas. This is the last 6 hours, just seeing that rain over and over again. So as we go throughout time here, we're going to see additional rainfall rates of 3 to 5 inches in Los Angeles on top of what they already saw. Remember, they broke a daytime record yesterday that dated back all the way from 1927. We could see 2 to 4 more inches in San Diego and could see 1 to 2 in portions of Central California as well. Los Angeles, Long Beach, that's good. You're going to see hourly rates of 1 inch per hour. That's going to lead to the chance for some flash flooding, especially where you're seeing those pink colors, the purple colors. That's a likely for seeing those flash flooding. Same story tomorrow. We're going to see Los Angeles, San Diego, but then it kind of moves a little bit further inland. So we're looking at portions in the southwest. And then we'll end it here, guys, because we are talking about a whole lot of snow. There's a lot of moisture with this. Atmospheric river is really essentially a river in the sky, just bringing all this moisture in, and that's what we're seeing. So we could see up to 6 feet of snow in some spots.
Got a lot of snow lately, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
Good for skiers, like you said last hour.
Yeah,
all right,
bad
Michelle.
for workers. You have to get to work.
Thank you.
Sure.
The White House is warning of more strikes on Iran-backed militias in the Middle East. This comes after waves of attacks over the weekend that targeted Iraq, Syria, and Yemen. The U.S. began the strikes on Friday in response to the killing of the 3 U.S. soldiers in Jordan just over a week ago. NBC News chief international correspondent Keir Simmons has the very latest from northern Iraq. Keir, good morning.
Joe, good morning to you. And we're hearing this morning of a new deadly drone strike, likely from the same Iranian-backed militia who were targeted by the U.S. just over the weekend. Kurdish forces here in the region who are backed by the U.S. say a base in eastern Syria was struck, that 7 of their, quote, commando fighters were killed and around 17 injured, including some seriously. It's another challenge for the Biden administration as the Secretary of State arrives in the region for another tour. This morning, Secretary Blinken traveling to Saudi Arabia, the U.S. battling on multiple fronts for a ceasefire and hostage release in Gaza and against Iran.
We intend to take additional strikes and additional action to continue to send a clear message.
Waves of American strikes against Iranian-backed militia went all weekend, including on Friday night in Syria and Iraq, hitting munition stores and drone factories, a response to the killing of 3 U.S. service members, their bodies arriving home as B-1 bombers took off from the U.S. On Saturday, a second operation, multinational and separate, the U.S. said, launched from the USS Dwight Eisenhower, 36 strikes in Yemen against 13 Houthi targets, disrupting shipping in the Red Sea. Yesterday, angry Iraqi leaders held funerals, the number of dead in double figures. But despite the Pentagon saying it targeted Iran's Revolutionary Guard, the strikes, heavily signaled in advance, did not kill high-value Iranian operatives. Not so far.
Have you ruled out strikes inside Iran?
I'm not going to get into what we've ruled in and ruled out.
And now, Iran releasing a highly produced video in English warning the US not to sink an Iranian ship, the Beshad, accused of helping the Houthis.
Those engaging in terrorist activities against Beshad or similar vessels jeopardize international maritime route security and assume global responsibility for potential future international risks.
Tracking data reviewed by NBC News shows the ship some experts believe to be an Iranian spy vessel close by when commercial shipping is targeted in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. As America prepared its response last week, NBC News watched the Beshad move away. And this morning, the Houthis once again releasing, Joe, a defiant message saying that they have the capability to carry on and challenge their enemies. Very little happened this weekend that is de-escalating things in this region, Joe.
All right, Keir, thank you so much.
Let's get more on this with retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis. He's a senior fellow and military expert at Defense Priorities, as well as the host of Daniel Davis Deep Dive on YouTube. Good morning. Always great to have you with us. So what kind of ripple effects do you think these retaliatory strikes could have on the region?
Well, look, I mean, we don't have to look very far to figure that out, because you just saw there with the defiant statement from the Houthis down there. Also, I'm seeing literally just moments before we came on air that the Islamic Resistance of Iraq claimed credit for that attack in Deir ez-Zor that killed the 7 SDF fighters. And we can only imagine that that was probably supposed to be Americans, because that's an American base. And had that been elsewhere on the base and killed more Americans, you can understand that there would be enormous pressure on the White House to expand into Iran already, which, of course, many of the critics of the administration are already complaining that these strikes weren't enough. But I'm just telling you, these are not going to deter any of these groups from doing it. They've already committed that they're going to fight. And by the way, both the Houthi and the Islamic Resistance of Iraq statements both expressly tied their actions to the Israeli fight in Hamas in the Gaza Strip against the Palestinian people. So if you don't even address that, then there's no prospect that a few missiles are going to stop them, as they've shown for many months and years.
I want to ask you more about that, because I know you said in a recent interview you don't expect these Iran-backed proxies are going to stop attacking U.S. forces until the war in Gaza ends. Talk a little more about why you think that is, and then that sort of begs the question, what impact is these strikes having?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can answer the second part first. They're having no impact at all because they expect that. They totally understand how America operates, and they know that the threats that we've issued are not hollow, and they expect them to come. But they're also willing to continue to do that because just like the Saudi Arabians were not able to kowtow the Houthis for almost 10 years of fighting, even though they had overwhelming air support and superiority, these folks, when they're committed, will continue going on. I personally observed it throughout all my time in Afghanistan and Iraq against these militants. They just don't operate the way we do. They don't use the calculus of whether something is too painful for them. They will keep going.
We understand the House could soon vote on a $17 billion aid package to Israel. Now, you've said in the past that this military support needs to come with strings attached. What are those strings? What should the conditions be?
Indeed, it does. And I'm concerned that I don't see either the House or the Senate talking in either of their versions about any kind of strings. And look, President Biden correctly said at the very outset of this that Israel needs to be careful that they don't go too far with their emotions and create some of the same mistakes that we did after 9/11. They have done that in spades, and that is that they have no concern, no care about the civilian population in Gaza that's being killed along with these operations. What the string should be is that we should hold Israel to the same standard with our equipment and ammunition that we hold our own forces to. And we have similar operations in the past where it was intelligence driven and highly focused on protecting the civilian populations while killing the actual terrorists. Israel can do that, but they're not going to if we don't hold them responsible and accountable to do it.
Lieutenant Colonel Davis, thank you very much.
Senate negotiators in Washington have reached a bipartisan agreement on funding for both Israel's war against Hamas and the war in Ukraine. The $118 billion package also aims to tackle the growing crisis at our southern border. But the bill is already facing strong pushback from House Republicans, putting the future of the agreement at risk. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles joins us now with the latest on this. Ryan, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. This $118 billion package would get aid to the front lines in Ukraine and provide humanitarian assistance to those impacted by the war between Hamas and Israel. But the key aspect of this deal is the impact that it would have on the southern border. And within minutes of its release, House Republicans were signaling that the immigration reforms were not enough and warned that the bill won't even get a vote. After weeks of closed-door meetings, rumors, and promises, Senate negotiators finally revealed their plan to confront 4 different national security emergencies. The $118 billion package provides $60 billion to help support Ukraine, $14.1 billion for Israel, $4.8 billion to deal with China's growing reach, and perhaps the most important ingredient, $20 billion to fund a series of changes to the U.S. migration system. The border component, designed to win over skeptical House Republicans who've been forecasting for weeks the potential deal may not be enough. Speaker Johnson posting overnight, quote, "This bill is even worse than we expected," adding, "If this bill reaches the House, it will be dead on arrival." Republicans in the Senate have called this the most conservative border proposal in a generation. It cuts off all migration when more than 5,000 people attempt to enter on a given day. It expands the number of detention facilities and raises the standard for migrants to qualify for asylum. But House Republicans, who count immigration among their most important issues, are feeling pressure from their base and former President Trump to oppose the package and instead place the blame for the border crisis on President Biden.
The border is a disaster. Nobody's ever seen a border like this.
Pressed by Kristen Welker on Meet the Press, Speaker Mike Johnson denied that Trump was exerting influence over his conference.
Is Donald Trump calling the shots here, Mr. Speaker?
Of course not. He's not calling the shots. I am calling the shots for the House.
A new NBC News poll shows voters trust Trump more than Biden to deal with the border by 35 points. Now, with the proposal on the table, Republicans will be forced to decide between dealing with the issue now or wait and hope it will compel their voters to the polls in November. And despite Republican opposition, President Biden has already expressed his support for this bill. He said in a statement that it is, quote, the toughest and fairest set of border reforms in decades. And he added that he strongly supports it. Joe.
All right, Ryan, thank you so much.
We've got much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including new production line woes for Boeing and those embattled 737 MAX jets, the fuselage issues that are now putting dozens of orders on hold.
Plus, the latest in the trial of Jennifer Crumbley, the mother of Oxford High School shooter Ethan Crumbley. Will a Michigan jury find her guilty for her son's deadly rampage? We're going to take you inside the courtroom as deliberations are set to begin this morning. That's next. Stay with us.
Welcome back. 1 month after the shocking blowout on that Alaska Airlines flight over Portland, there is a fresh setback for Boeing.
A new quality control glitch will delay the delivery of new 737 planes to the runway.
That's right. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello covers aviation. He joins us now for more on this. Tom, great to have you with us. So what more do we know about this latest issue?
So this is a new problem with the Boeing 737 MAX planes. It's been found, and now it's going to force the company to do more work on about 50 of its undelivered jets, potentially leading to delays of that fleet that's in production. Now, a source with knowledge of the situation tells NBC News Boeing supplier Spirit Aerosystems discovered 2 rivet holes that were misdrilled on about 50 fuselages. Boeing's commercial chief says in a memo and an email to employees that an employee at the supplier flagged to his manager that 2 holes may have been drilled not exactly to our requirements, but emphasizing this is not an immediate issue and that existing 737s can continue flying. We're talking about planes on the production line now. Spirit Aerosystems, for its part, tells NBC News in a statement, once notified, we began immediate actions to identify and implement appropriate repair solutions to those planes on the production line. But this is the latest safety concern for Boeing just a month after that Alaska Airlines emergency landing when that door plug blew out of the side of the plane just after takeoff, leading to the grounding of every MAX 9 nationwide. They've now been rejoining service as they're inspected. And of course, 5 years ago, we had 2 fatal MAX 8 crashes overseas and production problems with another plane, the 787. Boeing leadership is doubling down on quality control, it says, as the FAA is investigating the system breakdowns that have been happening in quality control at Boeing, you guys.
So, Tom, I understand the FAA is expected to provide an update today on the investigation into that MAX 9 blowout. What more do we know about that?
That's right. So the bottom line is the FAA is expected to tell us more about what steps Boeing is going to have to take to regain the confidence of the FAA. You know that the FAA essentially said you cannot expand the production line of the MAX. You cannot add more planes and add more models until you address your safety and quality control issues within the company. Boeing says it's doing that, so we expect an update today on the FAA investigation and what steps they are requiring of Boeing.
Tom Costello, something we are all wondering about where this shakes out. Thank you for keeping us updated with the latest.
Coming up, we could witness history in a Michigan courtroom this morning.
A jury will soon decide whether the mother of one high-profile school shooter will be convicted because of the deadly actions of her son. We'll bring you the latest in the trial of Jennifer Crumbley up next. We are back now with a look at the trial against the mother of the Oxford school shooter, Jennifer Crumbley. This morning, jury deliberations are set to begin in the unprecedented case. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch joins us now from Pontiac, Michigan with the latest here. Hi, Jesse. Good morning.
Savannah, good morning. After the prosecution cross-examined Jennifer Crumbley, both sides made their final arguments on Friday. Now the judge will give the jury its instructions for deliberations, and then that group will take an historic vote on charges of involuntary manslaughter faced by the mother of a school mass shooter.
This morning, a Michigan jury is preparing to answer an unprecedented question. At what point can a parent be found guilty for their child's deadly shooting rampage?
We didn't just hand him a gun as a here you go, son. It was something he could use when we went to the range as a family together.
After Jennifer Crumbley testified in her own defense, prosecutors cross-examining the Oxford school shooter's mother Friday, attempting to undercut Crumbley's defense that her husband James was in charge of storing their son's handgun.
It's pretty clear you didn't trust James with much. Well, you didn't trust him to get out of bed on time.
Correct.
You didn't trust him to keep track of your son.
Oh, I trusted him to keep track of my son.
Okay. But this is the person you entrusted with a deadly weapon.
I did.
In her closing argument, Crumbley's defense attorney suggesting prosecutors presented evidence without context, saying Crumbley could not have predicted her son would kill 4 schoolmates.
The Crumbley son was a skilled manipulator, and they didn't realize it. He's not sick. He doesn't have a mental illness. I am asking that you find Jennifer Crumbley not guilty, not just for Jennifer Crumbley, but for every mother who's out there doing the best they can, who could easily be in her shoes.
Prosecutors getting the last word.
He literally drew a picture of what he was going to do. He drew a picture. It says, "Help me." It has the drawing of the gun that she bought him, posted, and bragged about.
The mother of Keegan Gregory, who narrowly escaped Ethan Crumbley's shooting spree, believes Jennifer Crumbley should have gotten her son treatment.
It's frustrating because they had the knowledge. They knew he wasn't right.
There's no telling exactly how long the jury could spend deliberating in this case. They've been shown videos, photos, message threads, and they've heard from more than 20 witnesses, including the defendant, Jennifer Crumbley herself. They certainly have a lot to be considering. Savannah?
All right, Jesse Kirsch, thank you so much.
What's considered by many to be the biggest game in the world is coming to our own backyard. We're not talking about the Super Bowl. We're talking about the 2026 Men's World Cup Final. On Sunday, FIFA announced it'll be played at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, just outside New York. Mark your calendars, July 19th. The final will be the climax of the 48-team, 104-game clash that is truly a global event.
Yeah, the U.S. along with Canada and Mexico will all play co-hosts for the world's most popular tournament. FIFA also announced that the U.S. national team will play its opener in Inglewood, California on June 12th, 2026. Big news there. Well, coming up, it's a post-COVID problem that's now plaguing America's schools.
Why the scores of one major standardized test used for college admissions are at a 30-year low. What's being done to get those numbers back up? That's next on Morning News Now. As cities and towns across the country are pulled into culture wars, public officials are being pressured to take a stand on all sorts of issues, from book bans to drag shows to seemingly uncontroversial artwork. NBC News campaign embed Alex Tava tells us why a town manager in northern New Hampshire just quit his job. And we should warn you, this report does contain offensive language.
In the little town of Littleton, New Hampshire.
These are the three pictures that started this entire controversy.
This mural may look innocent.
It's like finding your roots and growing and you know, branching out.
But it set off a firestorm.
Art ban became the buzzword when real reality what it was an absolute assault on people for who they love.
The artwork can be found on the side of a Main Street restaurant in Littleton. It's supposed to symbolize inclusivity for the LGBTQ+ community, among other marginalized groups, according to North Country Pride, the organization that sponsored the mural. It went up last summer, and it quickly drew the ire of a local politician who made her position on the art clear at a board meeting streamed by local media.
But I don't want that to be in our town.
That politician, Carrie Gendro, is also a New Hampshire state senator. In an interview with the Boston Globe, she called the art, quote, demonic symbolism, and said homosexuality was, quote, an abomination, which was painful for Gleason, whose son came out while he was in high school.
When you're working with someone and they call a family member an abomination, that's kind of when it started.
NBC News reached out to State Senator Carrie Gendro for comment, but we didn't hear back. The art remained, but a couple of months later, a Tony Award-winning musical about a gay couple came to town. Gleason says that reignited tensions, and a resident came into his office.
So this lady showed up and wanted to see me. She said, "Why aren't you stopping the play?" I said, "I can't." I said, "You know, that's freedom of speech." She turned to walk away, and she turned back, and she said, "You know, I read about your son, and I just hope you're happy he's in hell with the devil where he belongs."
In 2016, Gleason's son Patrick died of cancer.
When you lose a child, the pain never goes away. You carry it every day. And to kind of have that evoked and to tell me that my son, who was a beautiful and fantastic person, was in hell with the devil because of how he was born, I'll disagree with anybody.
Enough was enough for Gleason. Last month, he decided to resign. A week later, this photo came in the mail from the same Littleton resident who told Gleason his son was in hell.
And she had written on it, "Queer bastard."
The Human Rights Campaign, an LGBTQ+ advocacy group, says what's happening in Littleton is playing out across the country.
It's all part of this same effort by super far-right Christian nationalist folks who are trying to make even the acknowledgement of LGBTQ people and our identities into something that is nefarious.
That's the best manager we've had.
Friday was Gleason's last day as town manager. He believes his son is proud of him for standing up against discrimination.
And I really do believe he's looking at me and saying, "Dad, you stayed true to what you taught us, and you stayed true to yourself, and I'm proud of the fact that you stood up and didn't run, and you made a statement."
Alex Tabbitt, Littleton, New Hampshire.
Powerful reporter. Thanks to Alex. Financial headlines now. Apple is looking to AI to help improve its Vision Pro headset.
CNBC's Bertha Coombs joins us with that and other money news. Bertha, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Apple is reportedly near a deal to buy an AI startup to help improve privacy for the new Vision Pro. 9 to 5 Mac reports Brighter AI specializes in technology to make face and license plate data anonymous. Apple could use that to minimize the risk that the Vision Pro captures identifiable information in videos or photos users take in public, which it can do more discreetly than an iPhone. Meantime, car insurance costs are skyrocketing this year. A new report from Bankrate shows that the average for full coverage is $2,543 a year, or more than 3% of the median household income in this country. And that's up sharply from just over $2,000 a year ago. Everyday life events can impact premiums. Adding a teen driver, for example, can really be the most expensive thing you can do in your policy. Drivers with teens pay an average of $2,900. Bankrate says insurance companies are rethinking their risk models these days to account for the rise in car accidents following the pandemic, the increase in weather-related claims. Imagine all those claims coming from California after this weekend, and the elevated cost of car repairs. Promising data is coming out today on a new experimental weight loss drug. An early-stage study published in the journal Nature Metabolism shows patients given a monthly injection of Amgen's drug, dimaritide, lost up to 14% of their body weight in just 12 weeks. Some people kept that weight off for up to 150 days after stopping the drug. Amgen designed the drug as a treatment for obesity, but it is now also testing it in patients with diabetes, which is the opposite of what its peers have done.
Right.
It started as a diabetes drug going to weight loss. This one works slightly differently than Wegovy and Mounjaro, but it's a lot of people are looking at it as something potentially promising where you wouldn't have to have a shot every single time forever.
Wow. All right.
Interesting. Bertha, thank you so much.
There is a growing crisis in American schools. Standardized test scores are dropping to their lowest point in decades.
According to the nonprofit organization that administers this test to high school students, ACT scores have hit a more than 30-year low.
For more, we're joined by Dr. Steve Perry from Capital Preparatory Schools. Dr. Perry, good to have you with us. So the pandemic seems to have exacerbated what was already a growing problem. Scores have been on the decline for 6 years straight. What are the issues here?
Well, thank you so much for having me. The issues have been ongoing, not just for the past 6 years. While the scores have gone down, the bigger issue is that we have children in schools that are not meeting their overall academic needs. In fact, in some states, like Connecticut, for instance, they've passed laws that say that children cannot take remedial classes while they're in college because they were taking only remedial classes. In fact, the folks who offer the SAT found that, in fact, 23% of all children last year who enrolled in college were college ready. That's a pretty low number.
Dr. Perry, what needs to be done to fix this problem?
Well, the good news is that we do know the answers. The answer is you don't need to remove the scale from the bathroom in order to lose weight. You have to change your habits. And if you look at the top performing high schools in the United States of America, they're organized around themes. They're magnet schools, they're charter schools, they're VOTEC schools. They're not limited by where you live. In the top 100, you'll find that the overwhelming majority of them are charter schools, magnet schools, VOTEC schools, schools that organize around a theme so that both the teachers and the children are learning in academic settings that are most appropriate for their needs and interests. So you'll find art schools and science schools and the like, not just the schools that are closest to your house. We have solutions, and they are working. We just need to expand the solutions to make sure more children have access to them.
Well, let's talk about the future of standardized testing just in the U.S. We know some universities, including the University of California system, do not consider ACT or SAT scores in their admissions process. Personally, I just wasn't a good standardized test taker. My test score well below what my university's average was. I still got in. So I've always sort of questioned them. Are they still relevant? What does the future of the standardized test look like?
So in and of themselves, they're not the singular best indicator, but they do tell us something. There are other indicators that determine whether or not a child can do well in school, whether or not they've taken courses like AP or early college classes, affective endeavors like whether they were in an advisory program or two sports or things that they've done after school to participate in school, and particularly making sure that they're in the best schools for them. When a child goes to a college that is the best fit, and it sounds like you did, they're more likely to be successful in those schools. So there are input indicators that we can prepare children by exposing them to college classes earlier, AP classes earlier, the emotional support that they need while they're still in high school. Those are also things that you can do. And quite frankly, a better indicator of a child's probability of being successful in college than their SAT score. or ACT.
Dr. Perry, I feel like we've gotten quite a few of these metrics that are they sound worrying, at least on its face, as someone who's not in education, just between reading levels that younger children are at to something like this. I mean, just how concerned are you generally about trends like this?
Oh, it's pretty bad. We shouldn't understate this. The fact is real. The college professors are telling us, the teachers in K-12 are telling us, children are further behind than they've ever been in my career. And it's not because they're less intelligent. They're less prepared academically. The academic rigor does not exist as in the most basic sense. Homework is something that people shun. Higher expectations in the classroom are things that people shun. These are the routes that we take to prepare children for the level of academic success that they need. The rest of the world hasn't taken the route that we have, and they're whooping our behinds. You don't have to go very far to look at the top universities in America are populated with children from all over the world. And in fact, that will be the case. If you look at China and their national examination, they've lowered the impact of English on their exam. So the rest of the world's caught wind of the fact that America's slowing down in the classroom, and it's not looking good for us.
Important conversation. Dr. Steve Perry, thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Now let's get to the countdown to Super Bowl 58. We are just 6 days away from the biggest game of the year, and the excitement is at a fever pitch in Kansas City, San Francisco, and beyond. Although, of course, this week the spotlight is all on Las Vegas. That is where NBC News contributing correspondent Kaylee Hartung is. She's been following the action all season long. Joins us from where the Chiefs and 49ers will face off on Sunday. Hey, Kaylee, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Las Vegas knows how to throw a party, but the scope of a Super Bowl, well, that's as big as it gets. For 2 years, this city has been planning for the moment. The NFL commissioner says he expects the experience to be extraordinary here. And all the excitement, well, it's lighting up Sin City.
Touchdown in Las Vegas. The Chiefs and 49ers arriving to kick off Super Bowl 58 week. Niners faithful braving a Bay Area storm to send off their team. While this Kansas City neighborhood rallied for their neighbor, rookie Rashee Rice. And on the other side, excitement building with a very Vegas welcome for both teams. Sin City urging the 49ers to do it for the Bay as the team landed overnight, getting ready to take on the Chiefs superstars like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. And how about a seat to watch them face off? StubHub has more than 3,000 tickets still available. It would set you back $5,500, but that's not deterring fans. In fact, sales have already surpassed last year's Super Bowl. Some 330,000 fans are expected to descend on the Strip this week, likely including the highest profile member of Chiefs Kingdom.
Taylor is in the house.
Though Super Bowl prep kept Travis Kelce from escorting girlfriend Taylor Swift to the Grammys, fans are hopeful she'll be able to cheer him on this weekend, considering she'll be on stage in Japan for her record-breaking Eras tour just a day before the big game. Swifties have done the math.
She has lots of time.
Now even the Embassy of Japan is weighing in with an official statement. Despite the 12-hour flight and 17-hour time difference, the embassy can confidently speak now to say Swift should comfortably arrive in Las Vegas before the Super Bowl begins. This is the first time the city of Las Vegas has played host to a Super Bowl. Kansas City trying to pull off a third championship win in the last 5 seasons. But odds makers are calling San Francisco the favorite as they look to take home the Lombardi Trophy for the first time in 3 decades. Vegas's high stakes not distracting anyone from the task at hand.
Yeah, Vegas brought the street, the strip, all the lights. It is what it is, but what's really cool would be winning the Super Bowl.
As cool as this view is, the players won't be seeing much of it. Both teams are staying about 14 miles away from this strip, guys.
Oh, very interesting. All right, Kaylee Hartung, thank you so much. We're excited.
Coming up, it was music's biggest night, and it did not disappoint.
After the break, some of the major moments from last night's Grammy Awards, including a big announcement from, as we were just talking about, the one and only Taylor Swift. Stay with us.
We end this hour with the story of a finance phenom whose second act is now playing out on stage. As a kid, Stacey Polly dreamed of the Great White Way, but she quickly learned it was tough breaking into the musical theater business. So she turned her attention to something quite different. business. But that childhood dream never vanished, and now it is driving a project close to her heart.
When I think of the earliest experiences that made me who I am today,
Stacey Polly could have penned a book about her life.
I was performing. I loved performing.
Instead, she wrote a cabaret.
For as long as I can remember, I wanted to be on Broadway.
Where did that come from, do you think, your love of performing?
Definitely my dad. Definitely my dad.
Her dad, Paul Bash, is a gifted piano player who introduced Stacey to the music of Carole King, the Carpenters, and everything Broadway. As a young girl growing up in New York, she even tried out for Broadway shows.
I mean, it was exciting, but for all the jobs that I went on auditions for, 99% were rejections.
So at an early age, Stacey made a transition, shifting her focus from the stage to the trading floor. She studied finance, a field that was measurable, objective, and she excelled, eventually becoming a partner at Goldman Sachs.
And, I stayed for 25 years, and it was the most incredible experience.
Still, something was missing.
It's home. It's kind of a natural place for me.
The stage.
I see the smiling faces and the applause, and it just feeds on itself.
So when she turned 40, instead of throwing a party, Stacey put on a cabaret.
It was incredible. I knew that it was such a light in my life that I had to do it again.
I also got a lot of champagne to pop.
Every few years, she works with a director and writer to develop a new cabaret, including this one in 2016, when she was accompanied on piano by her dad.
Sometimes I wonder if I'm ever gonna make it home again.
But when Stacey took the stage again this past November, someone was missing.
My father, who inspired my love of music, is living with Alzheimer's. Only 2 years ago, he was sitting right there, enjoying my last show, and now he's progressed far enough along that he couldn't come here tonight.
To honor her father, that night, Stacey sang a song called Remember Me.
Remember me.
And it's a very touching song because it's saying, please remember me the way, you know, I would want to be remembered. I absolutely felt him during that song.
What would your father have been thinking had he been watching you perform?
I think they'd be so proud.
Transitions.
Transitions.
The cabarets are now fundraisers, collecting money for something called the Fork It Fund, devoted to Alzheimer's research, a campaign Stacey has dedicated to her father.
The show itself is almost full circle because I'm coming back to a passion of mine that he really inspired.
Just simmer down.
That you're pursuing this passion that you had as a kid, what is the message you hope other people can take away from what you're doing?
I think, and I thought about this for my kids, having a passion is a gift. It's not a given. For so many years while being successful at Goldman Sachs, I was missing something. And it was because I wasn't feeding all the parts of my life that were part of who I was.
The joy that's inspired by her dad.
Stacey's now retired from Goldman Sachs. As for those cabarets, she's done 5 of them in 15 years. The most recent one, called Act 5, had 2 performances at the Cutting Room there, including one a couple weeks ago. Performances have now raised $1 million for the Fork It Fund. Stacey created that fund with a couple friends. In all, add in all the things they've done, $3 million they've raised.
Oh my
Isn't that incredible?
And she's only done 5 of them?
5 performances plus other fundraisers.
Wow,
Yeah, to make all
that's
that
incredible.
Money. It really is
for a good
extraordinary.
cause. Wow, good for her.
Yes, that's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.